That was very impressive. And actually, just a couple of words on Envision. And Envision is also a 10-year-old startup. And we started, and we always call that we were conceived in London. Actually, we're headquartered in Shanghai in China. And but we basically have R&D centers and commercial offices and labs all over the world in 20+ countries. And in the renewable energy sector, we have been very much focused on technologies and digital solutions and also smart wind farms and solar farms. This is the three key areas Envision focusing on. And over the last 10 years, we have become one of the largest wind turbine technology providers. And we're providing about 4 to 5 gigawatts wind turbines this year. And that makes us probably top 5 in the world. And the second one is we've been providing a variety of different digital solutions, managing wind farms, managing solar farms, and providing this energy operating systems for the future global energy systems. And third is actually we're building wind farms from Argentina to Chile to Mexico to France, and also to in China as well. So this is what Envision is about. And last couple of years, I think fundamentally there is, the levelized cost of energy, especially for the renewable sector, has changed so dramatically. If you look at the cost, it has dropped so much. If you look at onshore wind and solar, it basically has dropped below, in our view, pretty much all of the fossil fuel and without carbon tax. And if you look at the auctions, especially in emerging markets, this year in India, and solar is below $50 per megawatt hour. And wind, if you look at in Mexico, in Chile, in Argentina, it's also ranging between $25 to $35. So now, in our view, the cost of energy is actually already, from a renewables perspective, is already the cheapest compared to any other energy sources. The next is the cost of synergy. How do we actually deal with the intermittent nature of the renewable energy sources? And how do we actually combine from the generation side to the demand, and also including the electrifications of many new sectors? Because as the marginalized cost of energy becomes zero or negative, which means the transportation, the heating, the cooling is all become much cheaper and all become electrified. So what's happening? I was in San Francisco 2 days ago, and I just met with the local head of a World Economic Forum. They just opened an office in San Francisco. And they call that the Fourth Industrial Revolution office. And why is that? And because they see that the technology itself, whether it's the big data, communication, and securities, all the technologies over the last 5 to 10 years has actually improved dramatically. So the convergence of technology itself has allowed, if you look at the devices, there's so many, Susanna mentioned earlier, there's over 1 trillion by 2016 devices which is already connected. And smart robots, there's 10 billion smart robots, and by 2040. And also the communication, the bandwidth is increasing from 1 megabytes per second to 100 gigabytes by 2030. And also the transistor, the computing power, and artificial intelligence. If you look at by 2018, there is about 30 billion transistors. And by 2040, there is 3 quadrillions. And that's 1 million times of the human brain. If you like, human brain cells is 30 billion brain cells per person. So what is the energy IoT platform needs? Energy IoT platforms fundamentally need synergies, breaking all the silos. And it needs securities. The cybersecurity is very important for the distributed energy, the new energy systems. It needs super solutions, such as the power tradings, underlying with the technologies like blockchains, and need independence. We need the technologies and solutions that is independent by the companies who are providing different products. It has to provide this neutral and independent solutions. And also need to have the domain expertise. You need to understand the wind, the solar, the smart grid, the electrical vehicles, the energy storage, with that domain expertise, underpinned by the regulatory policies, supported by the governments, and supported by multilateral government agencies, and with the policies to support the underlying energy operating systems. So this is the Envision's energy operating system, Energy OS, we call that. And we created that last year. And what does it do? We see that as an open platform. It's cloud-based operating systems. It's supporting from generation all the way to the demand, to energy storage, and underpinned by the capabilities, including the data, including the connectivities, including all the super applications which I mentioned earlier, on the, such as the power tradings, and connected with all the smart devices, with all the machines. So the energy operating systems, what we have now, is actually we're working with many, many different companies in the world. Envision now, the energy operating system, Energy OS, is actually currently managing 60 gigawatts wind farms and solar farms in the world. And if you look at the world wind farms, 10% of wind farms in the world is actually under Envision Energy OS operating systems. So we have a massive amount of data. If you look at our partners, that's including Shell, including Duke Energy in the US, and also many European IPPs as well, such as EDF, such as EDPR. Just one example here, and this is the last 6 months, I have been to Berlin 3 times. I already feel like I'm a part of the Berlin startup community here. And we work with one of the startup company here called Zonen. And Envision Energy Operating System is helping Zonen to transform itself to actually to build the Zonen communities and to help it to become the virtual retailers it's actually working on. Another thing is Antopia. And in the previous conference, and some of you probably have already heard, Antopia is about building this beautiful energy together in the global markets. We strongly believe that the new global energy system is not from one country and is actually a global effort. Not looking at it just from China perspective, not just looking at it from the Germany perspective, it is actually a global perspective. And if you look at our partners, the innovation startups in Germany, like Zonen, and in Silicon Valley, and also in China, but also including the leading utility companies, the research institutions, the academics, and also governments. And together, our intention is to build this beautiful energy together so that we can make sure the energy is affordable, is sustainable, is renewed, and also it's secured, and also it's robust and resilient. So this is what Envision is striving to do, together with all the startup firms, together with all the partners. Thank you.
Felix, how much money do you have to invest in startups? Do you have any specific number of dedicated, or you?
Myself, not much, but
Envision.
Envision, just give you one number. Last year alone in Europe, we invested over 150 million euro, just in Europe.
In startups or in expanding your business?
That's all startups.
Okay.
And if we look at the third business I talk about, investing in wind farms and solar farms, last year we invested about close to $1 billion.
Okay. Let's say another billion, so we had 25, makes it 26 plus 180, 26 billion, 180, okay? We keep on counting. Thank you very much.
Thank you.